Started by opening up Unreal Engine's website and seeing all the things it can do, and then going to the documentation and having a look through that. I did this Your First Hour in Unreal Engine video, and that was pretty good. And then I did the starter course video from Unreal Sensei. There was a lot of information there, but I really enjoyed it and made this environment. I was really enjoying just building environments out of the Quixel assets, so I found this similar tutorial to follow. While it was a good tutorial, I couldn't get any results that looked good. I kept getting these like glitchy kind of, I don't know, just low resolution stuff, and I couldn't really figure it out, so I figured I should look into how lighting works. I actually spent all day just on this tutorial and playing around with all of the things he talks about. I ended up creating this environment. From here I moved on to game development and started with this Unreal Sensei tutorial. This was also my first experience with blueprints. And then I made this little game. I was envisioning like a facility that was powered by these crystals, but they'd become corrupted and your job was to go around and like destroy them all. But I kept it pretty simple. I got some feedback that the mouse sensitivity was too high, so found a way to build a slider to control that and put that in the game. I followed this tutorial on making a wave spawning survival game, and that was pretty fun, and I made this little masterpiece game. I watched this guy's experience learning Unreal in 2 weeks, and I felt a lot of the same things he was feeling. It made me realize I should take things a little bit easier and not expect so much from myself. In the second week I was unfortunately a little bit too busy to do any real learning. For week 3 I wanted to learn about animation, so I started making this guy in Blender and brought him into Unreal, but there was still a lot I didn't understand. I found this guy who works at Riot Games and watched his tutorial series on Control Rig as well as Animation Blueprint. They really helped my understanding. And I also watched this tutorial series by PrismaticaDev. From here I came up with a little concept for a game I wanted to finish by the end of the week. You're like this mech spider thing in this futuristic world where you go around and fix stuff. I tried to find some spider movement tutorials. The best one I could find was this one, but honestly I found it pretty confusing and it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. So I had a go at implementing it myself in blueprints. I learned a lot about how the tracing works and the visual debugger, as well as I got pretty deep into the vector rotation math. It looked like it was going to be a bit too much work, so I let that one go and just stuck with the regular character movement. From here I learned how to build some simple puzzles, as well as opening doors and interacting with things and moving around the camera. I learned how timelines work and how to control things based on that timeline. I learned this method for creating some grid-based layouts just using your keyboard, which was quite fun, so I mocked up a few different level ideas. Then I made this little guy in Blender and built a quick map and turned it into a game. I also remembered to build in some mouse sensitivity that I learned from the first-person shooter game. From here I took on the most complicated tutorial of this whole month, where you animate this spider. He was building off a lot of the concepts I'd learned earlier in the Control Rig tutorials. That kind of deviated a little bit from what he was showing and ended up with this bit of a janky result. For the 4th week, I just wanted to play around with other areas of Unreal Engine. So I looked at metahumans and sending OSC messages from TouchDesigner to Unreal, building some interactive art, which I could see being really cool in like a touch-activated installation or something.
Go ahead and add a procedural assembly to the world.
I really wanted to play around with the procedural content generation system that was showcased in the last Unreal Tech demo, which apparently took a team of 30 people to make. I followed some tutorials by this guy who actually works on the Unreal team building that system, But the best tutorials I found were actually from this guy, who just somehow knows how to use it and shows you how to build like a whole generated forest landscape. This is the little forest scene that I made. It's pretty cool how it all just interacts with the rules that you've set up, and like if there's a steep angle, that means it's a cliff, so place these types of rocks and these types of plants there. I spent a while just playing around with this and walking around. From here I learned how the water system works, and MetaSounds, and also particles. I made some leaves drifting in the wind and little groups of bugs flying around, and yeah, just added all that stuff into the forest environment. And lastly, I looked at C++. So I followed this guy's tutorial on making your own blueprint nodes in C++, which is a really cool way of like hiding complicated things. And then I watched this guy build a whole Unreal Engine project from scratch in C++. And honestly, his videos are some of the best tutorials I've ever seen. And I ended up watching all of his videos on Unreal Engine, which provided like a lot of insight as to how the whole thing works. So that was my month with Unreal. It was quite complicated at times, but it was also pretty fun. And yeah, I'm keen to do some projects in it. Thanks for watching.